Now at 11, a teen's life cut short where he should have been safe. Denver's skate park. What new surveillance video reveals about the shooter who killed him. A new chapter begins today for Colorado's effort to reduce soaring fentanyl deaths. Why an already controversial bill will likely face new challenges as early as this afternoon. And is Denver ready for backyard apartments? A look at the city's plan for more lower-cost living options. Thanks for joining us for Denver 7 News. I'm Russell Haythorne. We begin with that search for the killer of this 16-year-old. He went to the skate park Saturday and was shot with dozens of people around in the middle of the day. Denver 7's Christian Lopez has new video that police hope will bring the shooter to justice.
There is still no word on a possible suspect or motive, but we do know that that victim who was shot was just 16 years old, and that shooting happened by this skate park Saturday evening. This is on 19th Street near Commons Park. Police have identified the victim as Juan Herrera Lozano. In this video that was obtained by investigators, you can see Lozano crossing the street and talking to people inside this vehicle. He later turns from that car, and you can see him falling in the middle of the street. Here's a closer look at that car. It's a dark four-door sedan. Police say Lozano was shot by someone who was inside, and now they're working to identify that car and who was inside of it. So far, there haven't been any arrests made, but you can help police find that suspect by sharing those pictures and videos. We have those on our website, thedenverchannel.com. Reporting in Denver, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
All right, thanks, Christian. We're working to learn more about the single car crash that shut down a major intersection in Aurora for most of the morning. The car flipped into a field at Quincy and Parker Road and took out a power pole. That knocked out power to about 3,000 people before crews got the lights back on. There are still traffic issues at that intersection 7 hours later. You can't turn left from Parker onto eastbound Quincy, and westbound Quincy is detoured. In 3 hours, the state Senate will take up legislation aimed at curbing the fentanyl crisis in Colorado. The bill passed out of the House last night and focuses on tougher penalties for dealers. It makes possession of even 1 gram of fentanyl a felony. It also requires offenders to enter treatment, and it funds harm reduction tools like test strips. Critics, including law enforcement, argue that possession of any amount of fentanyl should be a felony. Others worry it will punish people struggling with addiction and will lead to more people in jail. House Speaker Alec Garnett agrees the bill is not perfect, but says Colorado needs to act fast.
No one wants to criminalize substance use disorders. No one wants to criminalize people who are suffering from the disease of addiction. But at the same time, fentanyl is so deadly that we have to do everything we can to help get the pills off of the street.
There were several amendments added to the bill in the House, and more are expected for the Senate, where Democrats have less of a majority, meaning they'll need to be working with their bipartisan counterparts. And lawmakers are on a tight timeline to get this to the governor's desk. The legislative session is set to adjourn May 11th. Douglas County Superintendent will give an update tonight on bringing Narcan to schools. The district hopes to have it stocked on all campuses this summer. School nurses will train all staff members on how to use it. Breaking news, Vice President Kamala Harris tested positive for COVID-19. She is not experiencing symptoms, but will isolate. Her spokesperson says Harris has not had contact with President Biden or the First Lady, given their recent travel schedules. New this morning, we've obtained a trove of new information about the January 6th Capitol riot. There are hundreds of texts between lawmakers and officials within the Trump administration. Some called for the president to end the violence, while others pushed efforts to overturn the election. ABC's Ike Ejachi has more.
2,319 texts. That's how many messages former President Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, gave to the House committee investigating the deadly January 6th Capitol attack. Some of the most interesting messages are from Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a staunch supporter of Donald Trump, who's backed his baseless conspiracy theories of election fraud. On January 17th, just 3 days before then President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration, Greene texted Meadows about a conversation she and other House members voters had about possible ways to prevent Biden from becoming president. In our private chat with only members, Green wrote to Meadows, several are saying the only way to save our republic is for Trump to call for martial law. I don't know on those things. I just wanted you to tell him. They stole this election. We all know they will destroy our country next. A group of Georgia voters are currently challenging Green's ability to seek re-election in court, citing a rarely used provision in the 14th Amendment. On Friday, under oath, Green was specifically asked about calling for martial law.
Did you ever advocate for martial law prior to the inauguration of Mr. Biden with any member of the White House staff that was part of the Trump administration?
I don't recall.
During the riot, several people in Trump's inner circle were pleading with him to do something to stop the attack. Even Donald Trump Jr. begged Meadows to push his father to make a statement, texting, "He's got to condemn this expletive ASAP. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough." ABC News has confirmed that Donald Trump Jr. will soon be voluntarily testifying to the House Select Committee. The committee expects to begin holding public hearings in June. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
All right, thanks, Ike. If you see or hear emergency vehicles outside the zoo for the next hour or so, don't worry, it's only a drill. The zoo is holding an emergency preparedness drill for its workers this morning. Air Tracker 7 over the zoo earlier and saw emergency vehicles and staffers coordinating that response. Most of the animals stayed in their enclosures during the drill. It's set to end around noon, and the zoo will open to the public after that. Denver's City Council wants to make living in the city affordable. We've reported extensively on the soaring costs of housing. The average price for a home is now over $700,000 in Metro Denver, and apartments are hovering around $1,800 a month, according to apartmentlist.com. And you've likely seen prices even higher than that. A committee met this morning to talk about zoning changes for the Housing Affordability Project. It would require builders to include affordable housing in projects with more than 10 units. With prices going up, more people are considering whether to build an ADU. An accessory dwelling unit, also known as a mother-in-law cottage, is a separate housing unit built in a homeowner's backyard. The Denver Housing Authority is teaming up with several groups to build people ADUs.
I think it's difficult for homeowners in neighborhoods to see some homeowners and some renters being priced out. And so it's important to be a part of that solution and to know that you're securing your asset and staying in place in a neighborhood that you love and have helped to make popular.
The Denver Housing Authority has so far finished 2 ADUs and hopes to build 10 more. You can learn more about building ADUs and the help available on the website mywdrc.org. So what would it be like to have a tenant in your backyard? Well, we asked Rachel Poynton, who has one.
It's a huge plus. I know that they're happy there because it's beautiful and it's a perfect home for a renter, and it helps out me financially. There's definitely a convenience factor there. It's nice to have your renter be close to you so you can walk over and fix something.
She bought her home in the West Colfax neighborhood last year. The construction company that built it also built the ADU that is in her backyard now. Not only did she say she enjoys having the company of someone nearby, but the rent income she gets from the ADU is a big help. And up in Longmont, City Council will discuss building affordable housing tonight. It's an 83-unit apartment home being called Chrisman 2. It will be available for households making 30 to 60% of AMI, which is the area median income. It will be near the intersection of State Highway 66 and Main Street. Well, we'll hear from the Nuggets this afternoon before they head to San Francisco for Game 5 against the Warriors. That's tomorrow night. The Warriors lead the series 3-1. The Nuggets were able to avoid a sweep in this series after getting a big win on Sunday night, but now need to keep winning to stay in the NBA playoffs. The Broncos will be back to minicamp this afternoon at Dove Valley. We were there as Russell Wilson ran onto the field yesterday for the first time in his number 3 jersey and helmet. The team was all smiles, and so was Wilson. He told us he is thrilled to be getting a reboot in Denver.
To be able to go through it and go to a new organization, to a winning organization, an amazing city, amazing place, it's such a blessing.
This guy loves practice. I mean, just out there at the end, he's like, wait, we're done? Like, can we do more? And you're like, man, I would love to, but we got to tone it down, baby steps. But no.
It was also for the first practice for new coach Nathaniel Hackett. As you see, Hackett was also playing running back. Our Denver 7 sports team is getting you ready for the NFL draft. You can watch our draft preview special at 6:30 tomorrow night right here on Denver 7. You can also watch the draft right here on Denver 7. The first round starts this Thursday. RIP Twitter is trending as the company announces it's accepted Elon Musk's $44 billion offer. We're taking a closer look at the future of the social media giant and why employees are divided over their new boss. And after a slow start to the ski season, Vail reports a big increase of people hitting the slopes.